Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a review of the brand new Tier 8 Swedish premium tank, the Strv S1. So these tanks launched today with update 4.1 and they literally came out at around 1 PM today, GMT, for PlayStation 4. And obviously since they've come out I've played enough games in it really to realise how you play it and stuff like that. So first of all we're just going to talk about my opinion of the game, and I'm just going to mention like how I think Wargaming did with this tank. Honestly, I do like it. It's not really my cup of tea, but I do really enjoy playing it, and I think Wargaming has done an absolutely fantastic job with implementing the siege mode with the controller and stuff like that. It works really well, and is obviously like really smooth and stuff like that. So yeah, props there for you, Wargaming. You did well. So we're going to take a quick look into the modules and stuff like that. So we can see hit points. You have 1,000 hit points, which is honestly not good at all, really. You can be two-shot by same tier tank destroyers like the Scorpion G, the Jagdpanther 2 and stuff like that. They can two-shot you, so just be very very careful. It doesn't have much hit points and the armor's not good either, so just expect if you get hit in this thing you're going to get penetrated. Next we can have a look at the top speed limit, which is 50 kilometers an hour, which is actually quite nice. Obviously we don't have the full Swedish tech tree on World of Tanks console. We only have these the two premium tanks at the moment, and I know that the tier 8 one, which I think is the UDES, is actually a lot faster than this, with top speed and power to weight ratio as well. Engine power 540 horsepower. This tank isn't very heavy, and you can reach that top speed limit. It does feel a little bit sluggish though. Next we look at the concealment. The concealment is 79. Honestly, this thing is just crazy. If you have a camo net and stuff like that and camo on your crew, you can sit within 300 meters of tanks, around 300 meters if you're in a bush and stuff like that, and just not get spotted at all. So it's just fantastic at that. Stationary, you can see that 0.46, which is actually really nice as well. Obviously the concealment is fantastic, and also moving, the concealment's still pretty damn good as well. Spotting is 62. The signal range on this is absolutely fantastic, 850 meters. It's just absolutely insane. But the thing that does let this tank down, I think, is the view range, which is 350 meters, which does mean you can't really spot for yourself. So I would recommend running binocular telescope on this, or coated optics. However, I do think binocular telescope is better. So a little bit of a better look into the engine. So 540 horsepower gives this tank a power to weight ratio of 16.36, which is actually not too bad. It will allow you to get to that top speed. It does just feel a little bit sluggish, in my opinion. Top speed 50, pretty damn good. Reverse speed 45 kilometers an hour, which is fantastic. This is obviously one of the specialities about this thing. Obviously the top speeds there are when you're not in the siege mode. But we're going to go into more details and stuff like that about siege mode in a bit. Fire chance 10%, very very low. I have been set on fire in this by a T-37, but it doesn't really happen that often. But just carry a fire extinguisher just in case. And also you can see it takes 2 seconds to enter the siege mode and 1.3 seconds to enter the drive mode. So next we're going to look at the gun. It's a 105mm gun with an aiming time of 3 seconds and an accuracy of 0.4, and you might be looking at that and thinking, oh my god, what the hell, this is absolutely awful. But this is the statistics when the tank isn't in the siege mode. But obviously I'm going to go more into detail now about the siege mode stats and stuff like that. So when you are in the siege mode, your aim time goes from 3 seconds to 1.3 seconds, so it's a dramatic decrease. yeah, in your aiming time, go from 3 seconds to 1.3, which is absolutely insane and is absolutely amazing aim time. Also, your accuracy goes from 0.4 to 0.29, which again is absolutely fantastic accuracy. It does allow this thing to snipe at stupidly long ranges. And obviously the elevation and the depression doesn't matter at all, because the gun in this tank is actually fixed to the hull, so you cannot move the gun at all, unless you're in, obviously you can't move it at all, but obviously siege mode does decrease your aim time, your accuracy and stuff like that, so it will just make it a lot easier to shoot and stuff like that. So also the track's 26-degree rotation speed, honestly it's actually quite good. This thing turns really quickly. Even when even in siege mode, it feels like it turns very, very quickly. Obviously, just be careful if light tanks and stuff do get around next to you. Your gun is fixed in place, and you cannot like swing the gun at all to try and shoot them. So if they do get up close and personal, you've had it really. The terrain resistance is 1.4 on hard, 1.5 on medium, and 2.6 on soft. So the terrain resistance is quite let this tank down. Obviously they're not shocking and they're not atrocious, but with that 16 horsepower per ton, I think that's what gives it. That's what makes it sluggish, really, is the terrain resistances. But nevertheless, it's not too slow. Again, the signal range 850 meters, fantastic. Now we have the Amarax. There's two in the back here. This tank does fire APCR as standard, and also has APCR as its premium rounds, and it also has high explosive. So the standard APCR rounds have 288mm of penetration with a shell velocity of 1450, which again is absolutely fantastic. The penetration there is just crazy. It is the highest penetration on a premium tank in the game. And honestly, you don't really need premium rounds in this thing. If you do, you're just a bit shit, really. Due to the actually being so good in siege mode and stuff like that, you really, really don't need the premium rounds. Damage of 390. It isn't that high, really. Obviously, the American tanks and stuff like that have 400 damage on their 120mm guns, but the 128s on the German tanks and stuff like that have 490. So, obviously, the DPM on this tank is around 2,400 rounded up, sorry. So you can pick apart opponents. It does take about 10 seconds to reload this thing, when in siege mode it takes about 8.8. So you can rack up some damage quite nice and quick in this tank. Also 330 penetration on your premium APCR rounds. They do have a slower shell velocity there of 1,400 meters a second, which obviously is still fantastic, but it's just a little bit of a decrease. But you really don't need premium rounds in this thing. And then we have the high explosive rounds, which have a shell velocity of 650 meters. So if you do choose to use them, you are going to have to lead your targets a lot more. And they have 53 penetration and 480 alpha damage. So obviously if you come against something nice, lightly armoured, like a Waffenträger's turret, Grille, etc., load up some high explosive rounds, and you're going to be doing around 500 damage to them with each shot. So we'll look at the armour quickly as we normally do, but honestly the armour isn't going to matter because there is none. So we have 1 to 20mm on the sides, 21 to 30mm, so it is 30mm, sorry, on the front, and we have a spot there where the camo net is. Not the camo net, sorry. The tracks are there, which adds some more armour and stuff like that. Just be aware, in this tank, due to the sloping being very, very effective, if your gun is 90mm or lower, the front of this tank will just be an auto ricochet if it's looking at you. Obviously if it's above you, and you can shoot its lower plate, you're going to penetrate because it's very thin. Same thing, if you're above it, you're going to penetrate it. But if you are level with it, you're just going to auto ricochet off this all day. There's no chance of penetrating it unless you can hit the cupola on the top. But yeah, the front of the tank is very, very sloped, especially things like light tanks, like a replay I uploaded to my channel earlier, like the Covenanter, or the Crusader I think it was, and the Vengeance, which is the T25 Pilot Hero Tank Edition, just could not penetrate the front of this thing. At long ranges, obviously some tanks like will struggle to penetrate you, unless they can hit the cupola. So against tanks like that, your armour can hold up very well actually, but once you get a gun with 91mm or more penetration, they're just going to overmatch it every single time, and the only hope you're going to have is to have a shot eaten into the tracks. But apart from that, you're never going to bounce in this thing anyway, and I would definitely never ever rely on your armour in this thing. So we'll take a quick look into the ammo and stuff I carry on mine. So I carry 35 AP rounds, 10 APCR rounds and 5 high explosive rounds. I only carry 10 APCR rounds because that's how many came with the bundle that I bought, which was the ultimate bundle with both tanks, which was about 18,000 or 17,000 gold, sorry. I carry 5 high explosive rounds just in case. I do see some tanks very squishy and I can take them out quicker. I carry a manual fire extinguisher. Honestly, I'm going to take that out right now and put another repair kit on, just because the most annoying thing in this tank is when you get tracked. With other tanks, obviously you can turn the gun and stuff like that, but you can't in this thing. So if you do get tracked, you are literally so vulnerable. Unlike some of the others, say like if a Jagdpanther 2 or something like that, or Ferdinand got tracked, at least they can swivel the gun around a little bit and still maybe engage the target, but in this you cannot at all. So it's just crucial you have a good repair crew, I'd say, and obviously repair kits. I carry a small first aid kit just because this tank does only have 3 crew members, so that's something also to look out for. High explosive shells will just decimate this thing, and due to the low hit points will not do you any good, so just be very careful. Next, the equipment I use on this thing, I carry a medium caliber tank gun rammer, obviously just to get the reload down as quick as possible. I carry the binocular telescopes, just because the view range is terrible on this, and it does really let the tank down. And also a camouflage net. Just something to let you know as well, once you are in the siege mode, as long as when you turn left and right, obviously because there is no traversing the gun at all, the whole tank will rotate, but obviously due to the crazy aiming time it doesn't really matter. But once you are in the siege mode, your binoculars, camo net and stuff like that, they will stay engaged and they won't disengage unless you actually start moving the tank forward again. Also something I forgot to mention, whilst in the siege mode, your speed limit goes from 50 down to 8 kilometers an hour forward and in reverse, so just be very careful with that also. And also another thing I forgot to mention, gun depression and elevation. So in the siege mode you have 11 degrees of elevation and you have 11 degrees of gun depression, which is actually very nice, obviously just due to that suspension, hydropneumatic suspension, which allows you to, obviously when you use the gun depression, it will raise the whole tank up and lower it down. Obviously that's what happens when you are in siege mode. So yeah, 8 kilometers an hour forward, 8 kilometers an hour backwards while in the siege mode, and 11 degrees of gun depression and elevation whilst in the siege mode as well. So anyway guys, I think that is enough for the garage review of the tank. We'll get into some gameplay and talk about this beast of a machine a little bit more. Hello guys, and welcome back to our first replay of the review. So the map is El Halif. It is a standard battle. I'm just going to head over to this corner of the map just to put some shots across into the enemies. Due to this tank not having any armour, and obviously it doesn't have a turret and not even have a gun arc really, so normally I would go up into the A1 area, but normally in tank destroyers I like to head down here. So as you can see, we enter the siege mode and we set up in a nice position here. Obviously you can see there the circles on the mini-map. So you can see from this range they have no chance of spotting me at all. So plug one in first into the T43. You can see the rotation speed and stuff like that and the aiming time of the gun here. Was thinking of putting one into that Tiger there, but realised I didn't really want to take the risk of missing, as it did become unspotted. So we're just having a look around, trying to scout for some targets. Hopefully this medium can spot us some. There you go, Tiger's back. As you can see, the shell velocity there, we don't have to aim at all really. Like we can pretty much just aim where we are at 450 meters. We don't need to put much lead on at all. Put another shot, blind one, that one, quite a nice shot there into the Tiger again. And we're still reloading. Now we aim for the SU-101. Oh, just missed. As you can see, the 0.29 actually is fantastic. He just managed to duck out there. I decided to take up the Tiger 1. He's a bit more of a threat at the moment. Put one into him, and the Oni pushes down as well. Tiger 1 gets taken out. Now we're just looking for more targets. So, obviously, this tank really has to be played in the tank destroyer role. Unlike tanks, I think, like the T30 and stuff like that, you can play them quite reliably as heavy tanks, quite up in the front, just with not as good armour. But this tank, you definitely need to play at the back. So now we aim, we see the other STRV, put one straight into him. You can see that his shell velocity is fantastic. Here he doesn't really know what he's doing. He's deciding, should he back up in siege mode? Here he goes. He decides to turn into travel mode just a minute ago there. It takes about 1.2 seconds, but he managed to put another shot into him there. As you can see, 2 shells in, and there goes half his health. Not more than half actually, about 90% of his hit points. So now we just push forward to put pressure on this Oni. I'm going to wait until my camouflage net there you go, just because I didn't really want to get spotted there. I probably wouldn't have been, but I just thought it'd be better just to, you know. So now I'm going to finish off the Oni. No, we ricochet. You see that, getting a bit annoyed. 288 penetration, can't pen the side of an Oni. Obviously I'm only joking, I hit his front plate, which is ricocheted. So, as you can see now, we're just right back. The view range obviously isn't that good on this thing, but the signal range is fantastic, so you can see our tank's right on the other side. We're just having a look around, so we're up to 8 penetrations, is that? Yep. So we're just going to try and move up a little bit more. As you can see, the siege mode mobility there, so I decided to switch to travel mode just to reposition. You can see the speed of this tank now, doing about 30 kilometers an hour uphill. It is a little bit sluggish, just be warned. But it is obviously a very, very enjoyable tank to play. So now there's a T29. So we're going to switch back into siege mode. We're going to aim for him. You can see the aiming time there. Straight through his upper plate, 1 shot in. And we're not going to get another shot at him for the moment. So we're trying to find a shot on the Tiger P. Unfortunately, he gets taken out. The SU-101 is there now. T29 decides to come across. A shot straight into his side, 426 damage done there. And I don't think we're going to get any more damage done after this. So we're just waiting for that T29 to poke that corner. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to happen. Now the SU-101. Maybe we get another shot if we're lucky. Aim for the T29 and ricochet off his upper plate. To be honest, that was my fault. Honestly, that shot should really penetrate. Like, it wasn't angled that well, and it's only trying to, obviously we've got 288 penetration, so really that should have penetrated, but it was my fault for taking a bit of a dodgy shot. So now we're back in travel mode, just trying to reposition again. Honestly, we're not going to get any more damage done here. Team's going to finish it. But as you can see, obviously, that is me just sat right back. I didn't push up at all. I must have moved about 400 meters, 500 meters from spawn, and that was it. And I didn't really move at all from there, just repositioned a couple of times and stuff like that. Obviously, this tank with the hit points and the armor and stuff doesn't have the armor, doesn't have the hit points to be up front. As you saw when I was shooting at the other STRV, 2 shots and he was 90% of his health was gone. So obviously in this tank you just need to make sure that you are very, 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 very careful when engaging tanks at close range. Obviously the camouflage in this tank is fantastic as well. I'm currently training camouflage. Obviously they came out today and I've been grinding them to try and get my Swedish crews quite good for when the full tech tree releases. But at this moment there's just not much I can do. I'm not going to get up there in time to do any damage, so I'm just going to mess about really. Go back into travel mode and you see here the reverse speed, 40 kilometers an hour in reverse, and it can really help you get out of some sticky situations, this reverse speed. It is so handy to use. So you can see there we're doing 50 downhill in reverse. It's quite strange to see that, and there you go, game over. And we're switching to siege mode for no reason at all. So from that game it was a victory. We got 134,000 silver, 4,000 damage and 10 penetrations and 400 assisted. As you can see, that is pretty much just your bog standard game in this thing. You can see the mastery badge has already gone up. That was only a 2nd class. whereas earlier on I did about that much damage and got a mastery. So anyway guys, that's enough for the first replay. We're going to come back when we have... Okay guys, so we are back for our second replay of the review. This time it's the brand new Pilsen map, which is new to console. Honestly, both the games used in this review have been very, very mediocre. I haven't really had any outstanding games in this tank yet, but obviously as soon as I do, they'll be posted straight up for you guys to watch and enjoy. So yeah, obviously this tank now, you can see the speed again. I have seen a fair few of these around, and since they have fixed the Mark of Excellence changes already, if you watch the video which was previously on my channel, which was just some gameplay, my mastery badge, that was literally about 20 minutes after the tank's come out, 20 minutes to half an hour after the tank's come out. So obviously no one was really playing them at all then. However, now I have realised that it is actually quite a bit harder to get your mastery badge in them. As you saw from that last game, doing about 4,000 damage, that would have got me at least a first class to a mastery when they first come out, but obviously it's only a second class now, and I have seen a lot of skilled players playing this tank. So obviously skilled players in this thing are going to be able to do phenomenal. So obviously that's just something to look out for. So we're in siege mode now, finally got into position. We take another shot into the Strv S1 on the enemy team. As you can see now, the reload and the accuracy and all stuff like that get just improved so much more when you're in the siege mode. Put another shot into the Strv, damaging his engine, or his fuel tank, sorry. As you can see, obviously the fuel tank, as you saw from the garage review when we looked at the modules and stuff, is in the front of the tank. It has only a 10% fire chance though, so you don't really have to worry about getting set on fire too much. Then we see the OI Experimental, which shouldn't be in this game at all, but we plug one into him as well. And send him back to the garage where he belongs, not in tier 8 games. So obviously again with this tank, it is just so lightly armoured and stuff like that, you really can't be up front with it, just because you'll just get absolutely wrecked, and the DPM isn't good enough for you to like out trade and stuff like that. So we're back in siege mode again, aiming for the Yag Tiger 88 and the Skoda 225 parked right in front of us, trying to fire at the front of the Yag Tiger 88. He's never ever going to pen that, is he? But we are. So we are able to put one into him. He backs up. He's spotted. We're now spotted as well. We ricochet a shot from the Canonian Jagdpans, as you can see there. Obviously that is the angled armour for you. Must have hit us where the tracks are to ricochet there. And we go back into siege mode again. Obviously it does take a little bit longer to get into the siege mode than it does to come out of the siege mode. Just be careful of that. So we push up, looking for the Yag Tiger 88 again. He thankfully gives us his side, and we managed to take him out effectively. Just like that. So now we're going back into travel mode. Obviously the one thing you need to be careful with this as well, if you do get up close and personal, which you'll see later on in this replay, with tanks, and you do decide to switch to travel mode, there is, obviously if you do decide to switch to the siege mode, you have 2 seconds in which you are completely immobile, you cannot do anything at all. And then obviously when you're coming out of it, you have 1.2 seconds worth of you not being able to do anything. So just be very, very careful. If you do come up front and it's a very, very close situation, it's probably best not to at that moment in time, just because you are completely defenseless while you're transferring between the 2 modes. So as you can see there, we also ricocheted a shot from the STA1, and we're looking for a shot on him, and we just missed. So now we're going to go back into travel mode and make our way over to the left side of the map. Just trying to put some more pressure on the guys over here. So we can see there's a Scorpion G over there, and there's also a T69 around here somewhere as well. The heavy tank does get taken out in a second. There's that T69 we were looking for. So just 2 tanks left, the Scorpion G. We go into siege mode to try and get a shot. Unfortunately we do it a little bit too early, so all the Hetzer chassis there unfortunately get in the way, so we aren't able to take another shot at him. So he pushed around, and this could have been a huge mistake for me. if I didn't have my teammates to back me up here. So here I'm just like, you know, I want to get a kill, so I just push right up it for this T69. Obviously you can't turn the gun, so I go into siege mode to turn around, go to shoot him. He's obviously got an autoloader. I don't aim, I ricochet, and then obviously he gets taken out. But if I did ricochet there and my teammates weren't there to help me, he would have killed me, most definitely. But anyway guys, I think that's enough for the review. Please like, comment and subscribe, and don't forget to comment down below for which tank you would like to see next. It's probably going to be the other tier 6 Swedish premium tank. But anyway guys, yep, once again, hope you enjoyed. This has been Era, and I'm out.